start with. We got to the place in the Sifra Tzniuta, which is called Trin Havu Chad Yischazro. There were two, and then they come back to return to be one. So let's say Bebir Inyan Trin Havu Chad Yischazro. He says Rei Bebir HaMeshula Devir Rizal. Shin is Baral P Devir Tabel. He said the Shnei Teninin. So the Zachav in the Keva became so, and what are the Teninim? He says that the Gevuras, the Zer Anpen, the Nukva. So the Teninim, he says, are the Gevuros. V'nizbadol of the Gevuras Akashim, the Nukva episode Hareg as a Nekeva. So he says that they nullified the Gevuros, the hard ones that were in the female, and that's the secret of this concept called they killed the Nukva. Kill the nukva, ein sham. V'chosanta v'devayer b'zeh b'hemshech the yisod hayichud shenis bayer la'el. So he says, and added on to that, it's an explanation as he goes along. He said that the yichud that takes place, I'm not sure what that means. Al pi divira or yakar, he said, shebir kan u b'od v'komos. It happens as a result of the yichud of their anpin, which what ein sham, what it produces, chasadim, which are able to overcome it. Reba ha'arov sham or yakor b'larucha. I don't recall seeing that previously, but that doesn't mean it wasn't. I didn't see it. Let's go on. And now it says V'rei od bi'urim. So that was one idea. It was the idea of the two gevuros, of male and female, and the yichud that I don't know is put together with them. He says in some way it destroys the gevuros of the female. Exactly what that means, I'm not sure. Now here we go to the first pirush. He says B'pirush ma'ris rok. Bir kan fi darko now the irega be inach nos akivir the klipa ayedera be gedusha besod shviras harosh. So what is that? He says hachnos hachivir the klipa ayedera kedusha shebesod shviras harosh. Now that's a similar idea to all the other ideas, that something put it together and knocks down the klipos in such a way that it enters the head. So there's two different aspects. The kasha, there's a problem. So it's plural. So then how do you say they broke the head? The mashbas of the hoya ela echad, which that's reshe is singular. The mashbas of the hoya ela echad. The Teves v'amad trin havu chad is chazro. So he said there were originally two, but they came back to be one. The pirush achasi trin havu used to be true two. Amnam chad is chazro. So come back to that phrase again. So that we're learning here that it's missing something. So the kavanah is what? There's two different types of chivya. Now, this is a whole new idea here, but we have been working with the water kind of ideas. So let me read it again. The koich adinim is called by the word fish. Why? The fish koich adinim was dog, because what? The dinim that are inside of her come from kedusha, and for this reason it's called fish. Shuhu kosher the echel, which is something that's kosher, which is to indicate to us that it's kadosh. That is the form of the essence of the klipa. I don't know what that means. Those words, mahus atzmos haklipa, shehi besod sa'aros, which is the concept of sour. Let me read again. Bechina Shnia, the other answer, is the form of the essence of the klipa, which is the secret of hairs. Bechina Zos Nikra Chivya. So this aspect of the hairs is called Chivya. Now, I really don't know where this idea is coming from or what it ties on to, except that we've seen that, is it this Pirush? I'm not sure. And that's not the Marie Soroka, I don't think, who was saying that what's happening here is the attempt of the Eric Onpin of Zeronpin to promote the Eric Onpin of the Klippa and produce hairs. So that's where I see the word hairs before. And this idea is where we have the idea that it's Taninim with the Belosh and Rabim in plural without the Yud. Because there are two different forms of the Chivya. But the second part, now it's bent down or it's humbled down, it's beaten down. After its head is broken, underneath Bechina Rishona, the first Bechina. Well, let me see what's going on here. I lost them. Okay, here we go back again. I'm not sure where I lost you there. So he had said, Ubechina Shnia, let's go back up to there. He says, now that whole idea there, I'm not sure that I saw that. He says the klipa, he says Shnia, he haina atzmos klipa, shehi sod sa'ara, bechina zos nikra chivya. So this aspect of the essence of the klipa is called hairs. Bechina zos nikra chivya. But there's then this concept of hakiva b'shem tanina. That's what we're getting at when we say the word taninin. B'cholosh and rabim, hol sheyesh shtei bechinas kivya. There's also bechina l'shniya, and the second one, the kfafa ata, it's bent down now, it's humbled down now. La'acher the izba reshe, after its head is broken. Tachas bechinas b'shayna, underneath the first bechina. What's the first bechina? Shu koyach adinim. So all of these things seem to be strung together, but I'm not really sure exactly how they work. And so for the koach, let me read again. What's the kidini? And it causes the two bechinas to become one. Because he says what? He says there's a flame. So it pulls out or draws out the koach shel kedusha shehi bereisha, which is in the head. He says machye. He says that means market, the Bechina Shniya, it strikes the second one. Lo nisha bereisha ki im koich adinim kan ad kan. I'd like to go back and look at this again. There's so many ideas here that I can't, and it seems to be always missing a little bit of trying to get it together. So where he said, but lezen is kavnach abechivich b'shem teninin, without the yud, b'loshen rabim. Hoil sheyesh shtei bechinas kivya. Zose bechinas shnia nikfafacha v'atach la'acha de'izba reishe tachas bechinas b'shayna. So it's this part right here where it says underneath the bechina, it's underneath the bechina b'shayna. Shu koich adinim, which is the power of the dinim. I don't see where the dinim were developed here. V'nasach of shtei bechinas chad. This causes the two bechinas to become one. Also because the flame draws the koach shel kedusha shehoya bereisha, brings it down. Hoya make the bechina shniya, and was able to strike the second bechina. Lo nishach bereisha ki im koach adinim, only relates with it the koach of dinim. So that could use a lot more clarification to me. Let's go to the next one. It says, Revi Yofer Shah Shabir Khan the Fidarko Hanal. Zer Anpin the Klipa the Ratzilas wrote to the Hamshech Bechinas Sa'aros. It wants to, so this going back to hairs again. It wants to extend the Bina Vacharis the Erik Anpin the Klipa. That's an idea that we saw before in the Yofer Shah. Ve'ena Oile Biyado came Izba Reshe B'mayim the Yamaramba, and it's not able to actually produce that to develop the hairs, the Erik Anpin, because its head is broken. Now here we explain furthermore. Kizer Anpin the Klipa wrote of his Chazek the Hamshech Bechinas Sa'aros, and now it wants to strengthen itself, and that's its portion. It wants to grow. So therefore, it's clothed. What is it? What is clothed? He says the klipa is clothed in the female aspect of itself. So what? I'm not sure what that means. But his sequence is, he says, Anpin the klipa wrote to this chazek, lahamshe bechinas now. And this it clothes itself in the nukva shalo, in its own nukva. So there's a female aspect of the klipa, and from the female aspect, Naas is there in the nukva, it makes zocha benuk, the klipa, the bechina tanin cha echad. Agam zera be'eder b'moil, but this doesn't really help it. Ke nishbar al yedech b'mayim rabim, the ima the kedusha canal, but the ima the kedusha stops it from being able to grow up into the area of, I guess, the rosh. Zelashon Lashon, Trin Hava, there were two. Chad is Chazer, but they come back to be one. Tanina Kasiv, Chaser, which is missing a Yud. Pirush, Trin Hava, it was two. Haim Zer, Venuk, the Klipa, the Tzil, Shenisaknu. Now those two are at the level, let's say, of the Chaz of Zer, they're Zer Anpin and the Nukva, the Nukva of Klipa. Zer Anpin the Klipa. La'al Chos of his goes, Lahamshech B'chinas Aras Merik Anpin. So it wants to embolden itself to bring down the Bechinas of the hairs of Zer Anpin, La'aso Sadavar Zed to be able to do this. What? Chad is Chazer, but when that happens, Mislavshim Zer Anpin Benukva, he says they come back to be one. That is, that Zer Anpin is he says is clothed inside of the nukva, and then they join together. Zer Bezekadeh his Chazik, and this is to fortify themselves. Lokei Chazah, so Zer Anpin takes. He says, we're down at the bottom of that page there again. We kind of got it. The koach hanukva, the two of them go together. Below shneim. So therefore, it says tanina, which is like one and not two. In other words, it's missing. It's yud. Ve'enu moyelo, but it doesn't help him to combine with the female. Now that's another idea which is easier to hear than the first one. It seems more contained, so that it's easier to understand. So let's go on to the next one, number Gimel. He says Ray Bazoar Chai Khan Shabir the Fidarko Lael. So what are we working on? Is that what we're working on is the phrase Trin Chad is Chazra. So according to the Yofer Shah, they get together in order to be able to overcome the barrier represented by Ima and try to grow all the way up to the Erik Anpin of Klippa, but it's not successful. So he says, Rei Bezoar Chai, he says, Khan, Shabir Levi Darko Lael, the Resha, the Mukhas Lima, Shehi, Rosh Shlishi, the Klas Resha, Erik Anpin, he throws that in. So the third Rosh of Erik Anpin, Nishbar Ayedech Bekiyas Aras Zakan. So the word nishbar comes to tell us this is referring to breaking of the hairs, that is, the hairs of the beard out through the face. Pekiyas Saros Azakan. Khan Od, now explaining further here, he says, Ki be'emes, Yotzim Saros Azakan, Gam Merosh Sheni Shu Avira. So it says, now where this comes in is a new idea. Yotzim Sa'aras, the hairs do come out, the beards come out. Gam Merosh Sheni Shu Avira, also from the Avira, which is a higher level, Kamabur Bishar Mamari Rashbi. Ela Sha'avira Na'ase Echad Im Mochas Limor. Now this whole thing that we're missing. It's apparently a Guzor in Parshas Niso. A Mishnechem a Yachad Yotzim Sa'aras Adikna. From the two of them together come out the hairs of the beard. And he said the Elo Beis Roshim, which are Vira and Mochas Limor, Heim Shnei Roshi Taninim Shena'ase Echad. So he says these two Roshim. And now he's talking about the Roshim of Avira and the Mochs Dimah. They come together, they become one. So this is like on a very high level. And it produces the beard. There's Muach Avira or Muach Dimah. That between the two of them come out the beard. They come back into be one. So Vira, he says, like what? Is a middle ground. Is a middle ground between the Gugolta and the Mostimah. And they all become like one. V'im Mochastimah. So they become one in breaking open or breaking out the Naharos, and I don't know if this means lights, but I think it means and rivers and streams, Shalas Ara, and all of them are really one. They become one. So now he says, goes on. He says Taninun, like Taninin Kasiv Choser. And he said the Shnei Harashim, because these two Shehem Bebechina Bebeis Osius, which are the aspects of two letters. Two letters are Vav and Vav Besod Taninin. Now this is another idea. He said, let me just read again in flow. They come together, Taninin Kasiv and Chaser. So what's shot over here that we constantly not constantly, but we've gone over before, the fact that the word Taninin is written without a yud in the end. Kasiv Chaser. The Fisher Shnei Harashim Shehem Bebechin Bebeis Osius, and where we get this idea from, they're the concept of two letters, which are Vav and Vav, so Taninun. Nichlal Gachad, it will all become one. Now here he's talking about the Resha, Derek Adben. Shahare Be'id Rezuta, so he says if you look in the Id Rezuta, ain't a Choshev the Resha the Avira. It's not I guess he means to say that the Resha the Avira is not counted. Elatrin Rashim the lo Isyada. So he says, but the two Rashim is the Rasha the lo Isyada. Rasha the lo Isyada refers to Atek. Shehem Gulgalto Mochstimah. So here he says the combination, because the Avir is really an intermediary of some sort. And he says the Gulgalto Mochstimah. So there you're talking about that. Everything is really one idea. Went through this. Okay, so now we came over to number Kaf Ches, which was up above, which said that V'hakol Echad. So there's lots of moving parts here. And now we're coming over to this little board here. Let me see if I can move this. Second. Okay, so here it is. He says, Rei Bezel Rechai La'el Sham Shabir Bezel Bechazev Zoloshana Bediluk. So he's going to skip around a little bit, but basically he's going to give the idea. He says, Hine Divik B'Moran, that is the Arizal, Yesh Bechem Stira. There's a steer in the words of the Ravi. Gavar Bi'arno, Shabain, the Eitz Chaim, and Shar Man Ben Mad, he says, Ki Min Mochasti Mo Nimshach Adikna. Everybody agrees. Umayim Rabim Umavolas Benaharos, all of this flow that's coming through with the Saharas Bedikna. So here we see the word Naharos and Mavolas here. Haim Mayim Nukvin. So they're waters that are going upwards. Now let's say Umayim Rabim is referring to Mayim Nukvin. Lagabe Kasser Daratika Kadisha Shuhu Arich. So all of the water is flowing in that direction. So it's going upwards. Became Belikuti Torah, so I'm not sure really how this works. So in the Likuti Torah, it says, Dikna Molshachas Mayim Mim Yama Chochma. So the Dikna is pulling down water from the Yama Chochma. What's the Yama Chochma? He says it's the Mochus Dimah. It's the Chochma Verakanpin. Of a Darash Birchas Kahanim, and when we get over there, the Amram Ran, the Muach Avira, Kruma the Vira, so these words are referring to Vira. Shahu B'motza bein train rashim Keser Gugolta. Okay, so he said once again, Keser Gugolta bein Moch Chochmas Dimor. Again, he says that these aviras, which is in between these two heads, Ki Hu B'bechinas B'bechina Gugolta or B'bechinas Moach. So they were talking about the Gugolta and the Moach. The Sham Shem Yud K Vav K. This is where you find the name written out, which is the name of Sag. Now, really, we're going into things that need lots and lots of put together. So again, he says in this, I'm not sure exactly where he's talking about, but the combination of the Gugalt and the Muchstimah through the agency of the Avira, the Sham, there you find the name Sag, Beresha Tinyana in the second head, which is Avira. Now, all of this I don't know. So he says, and from it flows the dikna. So he has this idea that you go from the Golgotha into the Mochstimah as the using the Avira as an intermediary. And he says, Kihu bebechinas Golgotha bebechinas Muach. So he said, Bisham, and there you find the name Sag. Beresha Tinyana in the second head, which is what? Avira. Now, all of this is just, I don't know it. I just never saw it. And from that place, then once you get to the Avira, because he says apparently it goes into the Avira, once it goes there, it comes out from the beard. Vishem Sag, Hotzi, Mishorsha Yudin. So the name Sag comes from its root, which is the root of Yudin, Shlosha Shemos, Yud K Vav K. Now, all of this is really beyond me. Again, Vishem Sag, Hotzi, Misharsha Yudin. So from its root, it brings out Yudin, Shlosha Shemos, which is Yud K Vav K. So that are those Shlosha Shemos? Amizgalim B'dik Dera de Erikanpin. And from there comes out the hairs of the head. Now, I like to read it again because I just didn't follow it, but let's go on. So over there it's coming from Meravira, or is it coming from the Avira? So it wants to say, is that the argument? But the truth of both of them are true. Now, what it had to do with the name Sag, what Sag had to do with the name Av, there's no connection there. That just came out. So that's a fact. He says that's what it is. V'shnechem emet. Ki mavuos haruchos shehem b'tzochas aros. Excuse me, it's a little bit hard for me to see right now. Ki mavuos havenaharos. So this flow, the streaming, the shehem b'tzochas aros, which is in refers to the hairs. Hey, Mayim Chochma Stimor. That's the Mayim that's coming from the Chochma Stimor, the Chochma Verakanpin. Vasa'aretz atzman, but now the hairs themselves, heim kela v'tzinuras mekruma devira. But this, he says, comes from the kruma devira. Now that could tie on to what he said is the name Sag. The name Sag, let's say, for example, I just making this up, but Vasa'aretz atzman, they become kalim. So kalim for the Gugalta, which would probably be Av, for the Kalim, for the Gugalta, is going to become the name Sag. Using my thinking here. So they become Kalim Betzinoras Mikruma de Ravira, Shuba Bechina Acha Gugalta V'Kli. This is Kli, one Bechina Achas, which is the Gugalta and the Kli. I'm not sure. Shaviras Roshi. So this is the Roshi. So this is the concept of breaking the heads. What? Trin Ration. There are two heads. One is the Gogolta, Shehimuach Kruma, the Ravira, the Nichlal Gogolta, and it's included in the Gogolta. Umocha Chachmas Timah, and then also the Mochas Timah. That's the two heads. Now, this is obviously completely different answer we see from other places. Shehem Shnechem Temos Taninon V'chad. So this is the image of the two snakes and Chad. Now, before he said they're two Vavs. So with it, we've seen that a little bit of that idea before, but it wasn't developed. So Shazaviras Osam V'Shivarta Osam, and they break them. So Bekiyas Azakan Mishbare Yam. So that is the breaking out of the beard, Mishbare Yam, which are the breakers of the sea. In other words, waves. Some kind of waves comes out and what produces this. Al Mayim Shehim Buvuas Benaharos. And so these waves apparently cover over or in some way have within them this flow of energy. Now, there's a little bit more, and we might as well do it. It is so Lashon Sifra Tzniuta, this language here, Kachu. So going back over these ideas, he says, Kultra Bekitrui, who Gulgalta Canal, this is referring to the skull. So Kulta Bekitrui, which we had said before in other places that it's like a collection, but here he's not necessarily saying that. He says that refers to the skull. Shehu Rosh Rishon, the Eric Anpin, which is the first head of Eric Anpin. Sanpira Ba'adboy, here's another phrase, who Mochas Timah. So now you have these two, Kultra Bekitrui, and then you had the Sanpir of the Adboy canal. Is Bareshe B'mayim Diyama Rabba, it breaks its head on the water that's coming through this, let's say, Reshe B'mayim Diyama Rabba, the Zechah Rosh Shal Mochas Timah, and this is referring to the Rosh that pertains to the Mochas Timah. Nishbar B'Sa'aras the Dikna is breaking, it breaks, this breaking, B'Sa'aras Adikna, meaning breaking out the hairs of the head. Shehem Mavuim the Yamim the Mayim Rabim, because that's actually the place where the Mayim Rabim streams, and this word is Hanovim Miyam Rabba the Mokostimor, the flow out of the Yam Rabba the Mokostimor, Dechsiv Shbiras Roshe Taninin Al Hamayim. So this water breaks through, causes a breakthrough. So he's talking about breaking through to the beard. So this is the Indian that we're talking about of these two heads, which are Avira Mokostimah. He says Ki Amishneichem Yotzim Sa'aros, because both are needed for the hairs to come out. The Zechav Shama Trin Hava, that there were two, Avira Umokostimah. He said is Chazro Lachad, and they come back and they become just one. They become like one-headed then, and finally, because Avira is sometimes considered to be Rosh Echad, in Mochas Timah, one head combined with the Mochas Timah. And from the two of them, they produce the Zakan, Mavuyim, Mochas Timah. These are the streams of the Mukha Timah. Klape Kalim Bavira. The Kalim apparently, he said, let me say it again. He says Umishnekem Yotzach Zakan, Mavuim Memuchas Limah. So that means where the water that's actually streaming comes from the Memuchas Limah, but the Kalim comes from Avira. So going back to that, which is still sticking by me, to the concept that he said that you had the Sag over there in the Vira, you have the name Sag. And then he brought in the concept of the name Av. So exactly what that was, I'm not really sure, but it must tie on to the concept of the two of them coming together, so in some way. So here's the last one. He says Ray Bibir Mishul Fi Agro, Shinizbayer Inyan Trin Chad Echad is Chazra, Besod Rigas Tanin Nekeva. So this is the concept of the killing of the female snake. Shehi Varta de Igule. Oh, wrong place. Okay. Okay, let's try that one more time. Ray Bibira Meshula Bapia Gua Shiniz Bayer Indian Trin Havo Chad is Chazru. So the two, they originally two come in one. So the Rigas Tanin and the Cable, which is also goes with this phrase, the killing of this female snake. Shehi Varta de Igul the Iguli the Igulim Hanikwa of the Vice. Now, I'm not sure what that means. He says the fire of it is the whiteness, the eagle, the eagulim. I guess it means I'm not sure, Hanikra Leviathan, Nachash Akalason, Ein Sham. So you have these words, iguli. This is the concept of iguli, Hivarta, the iguli. I'm not sure what iguli means. I know that eagle means round, so I'm not sure what it means. Nachash Akalason, Ein Sham Ba'orech. Okay, so that's it for this. We did finish it up. Are you going to be here tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Mitzvah Shem. Now we only have 2 minutes left, so I don't know if we could get anything done in 2 minutes.